Welcome back to a new review of a replica from World of Warcraft. This time I have with me none other than the Shalamayne from World of Warcraft, the well-known sword of King Varian Wrynn, and after that, Anduin Wrynn. Let's get ready. Go! Okay, so I will start with the intro, as I do every single time. This is a replica of the Shalamayne sword from World of Warcraft, and I was trying to find videos online about all of these replicas that I've been purchasing throughout the years, and actually the Shalamayne, there are a few videos about it. There's one that's really well done, but it's in Spanish, so not everyone will be able to understand it. Hopefully, I will be able to provide a review for you of this in English, so you can check this out. I'll do the lore, I'll do the physical shape, size, weight, the feel of the sword, pros and cons, and also, of course, the lore, which is actually extremely interesting. And whether you like it or not, it continues to the current day from the back in the day when it started 10,000 years before the First War. So Shalamayne, one of the swords, there is some story including some of the other weapons over there that I will try to impersonate for you right in the video today. Let's get going, and I'll grab my chair because we're gonna go through the lore to get started. The lore is Shalamayne is actually made up of two swords that were crafted by the Night Elves. A really long time ago. It was back in the War of the Ancients. The two swords are Shalator and Shalamayne, but we're going to get back to that a bit later. So I just named the War of the Ancients. The War of the Ancients was when the Burning Crusade came to Azeroth for the very first time. And when they came in for the very first time, it was an extremely violent event. The point is, Sargeras wanted to devour the soul, the world soul of Azeroth, but he failed. But that came with a great price. So we were able to defend the world of Azeroth. There was a lot of effort put into that. The Legion was just so huge in numbers, and they were so strong that it took a combined effort from the well-known heroes of the Alliance, not us, the champion, but Tyrande the Whisperwind and Illidan and Furion or Malfurion, Jared Shadowsong, and several others to fix this. The problem is, before the continents as we know it, so when you look at the map normally in classic World of Warcraft, you have Kalimdor, and then you have the Eastern Kingdoms, or Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, and then in the middle you have the Maelstrom. There in the middle, everything used to be one huge continent, and in the middle of everything there used to be something called the Moonwell, not the Moonwell, but it was the Well of Eternity. And that was an extremely powerful place, but that's what the Burning Legion used to get into Azeroth as a portal. So what our heroes did, they rewired this Moonwell so that it imploded and it sucked all the demons in. But when that imploded, it was such a powerful eruption that it split all the continents apart. So you get Kalimdor in one side, then the Eastern Kingdoms on the other side. And as expansions build up in World of Warcraft, you start seeing all these other islands and continents start to appear. So you have the Maelstrom in the middle, which is still violent and churning. Then you get Mists of Pandaria. Then you get, what was it, the Kultiras. Then you get all of these different, continents that we keep discovering as the expansions go, or as Blizzard starts pushing as they're building expansions. But that's the main story of the War of the Ancients, in case you didn't know and if you were interested. But let's get back to this one. So there were two swords. There was Shalator and there was Shalamayne. I'm going to separate this into two because it's quite unique in that way. Shalator and Shalamayne, crafted by the Night Elves a very long time ago. First owner was Varian Wrynn. And the story of Varian Wrynn is also quite dramatic. I'm not going to go into details by that, but the Black Dragon Onyxia, she separated Varian Wrynn into two variants of Varian. One of them was extremely strong and a powerful warrior, and the other one was kind of a flødebolle, weak and, malleable and, the weak version of Varian. A long time after that, the two versions met Jaina Proudmoore, and they were gifted the two swords, one each. When we then battle Onyxia, after we uncover her of being from being hidden in Stormwind, and then we fight her in her lair, then she accidentally fuses the two variants together, and the two swords also get fused together with magic, therefore creating the Shalamayne as we know it in one sword. When Varian Wrynn dies, and we're going to get to that a bit later, it's his sword that goes on to his heir, or his son, Anduin Wrynn. And I have a fun fact over here about Anduin Wrynn. Did you know that Anduin Wrynn was named after the knight of the Alliance called Anduin Lothar? And I have the notes here. Anduin Lothar was the knight champion of the Kingdom of Azeroth, and the Kingdom of Azeroth became Stormwind. The sword from the film, if you've seen World of Warcraft, the sword of Anduin Lothar is the Quell Zeram, and you can see it over here. This is also an awesome sword. So this is one of the swords that Anduin Lothar he wielded. Anduin Lothar was actually killed by Orgrim Doomhammer at Blackrock Mountain. So before killing Anduin Lothar, Orgrim Doomhammer had, of course, the Doomhammer. So first what he does, Orgrim Doomhammer, is he shatters the sword of Anduin Lothar like this, pow, pow, and then kills Anduin Lothar. The way he kills him is he just smashes his head with this huge hammer, which weighs 8 kilos, by the way. You can see the review of it. Awesome sword review coming soon. Let me put it back and get back to the story. So how did the sword Shalamayne get in the hands of Anduin Wrynn? Well, the sad news is that back in Legion, King Varian Wrynn managed to save the Alliance and allow their ships to escape when he jumped from the ship and attacked this huge, I think it's not a golem, but it was an infernal, saving or giving time for the Alliance ships to escape. But unfortunately, he fought a lot of demons, and this was split. He split it in order to fight all the demons, but then Gul'dan catches him and kills him. Later on, Anduin Wrynn arrives at the scene when everything is calmed down, and he picks up the sword. So now Anduin wields the Shalamayne weapon. It's one because it's two-handed. In Shadowlands, things take a turn. So Anduin Wrynn keeps this as his sword, but the jailer captures him in the maw and takes Shalamayne and infuses the weapon with the soul of none other than Arthas Menethil, the Lich King. So they put the soul shard of Arthas into this sword, creating another Mournblade. A Mournblade that's even more powerful than the Frostmourne, and creating a new version of this one, which is called the Kingsmourne. And I actually think that's a fantastic blade. It looks so cool. It looks amazing with that blue color and that blue sheen to it. It just looks amazing. But the point is, when Frostmourne was destroyed, this being Frostmourne, when Frostmourne was destroyed, the shattered fragments of Arthas' soul went into the maw. And that's how the jailer was able to pick up and reforge this into the Kingsmourne. But this Frostmourne, probably maybe you've seen the other video that I made about the Frostmourne and about the Ashbringer. Frostmourne gets shattered by Tyrion Fordring wielding the Ashbringer. That's an awesome story. It's awesome how all of these, they relate to each other. But let me put it back here and get back to the story. So now we're left with a Mournblade that Anduin Wrynn wields, And Anduin Wrynn is under the control because, you know, it's like the Helm of Domination, and like the Frostmourne, it's the jailer that controls the will of the wearer or the bearer of the sword. So Anduin is now controlled by the jailer, but long story short, Anduin manages to redeem himself with the help of visions and ghosts of the initial bearers of this Shalamayne, and frees himself, and also returns or cleanses the Kingsmourne, bringing it back to its initial form of Shalamayne. So it's back to normal. There's one more fun fact here. Varrock Saurfang used Shalamayne and also actually split it into two to duel against Sylvanas at the end of Battle for Azeroth. The cool part there is that he actually manages to wound Sylvanas and makes a nice cut over here with the two. And he pisses her off. So what happens there, he's like, you tried, oh, I need to do this. So he's like, Sylvanas fighting him, and she goes like,
they trusted you, and now you failed them. The hope is gone.
And there's Varrock there just sitting down here, almost finished, because she was easily defeating him with all the strength that she had.
You cannot kill hope. You tried at Teldrassil. You set us to kill each other at Lordaeron. You failed. You just keep failing. The Horde is strong.
One, and then he cuts her with the second one, and that's when she gets pissed off. When he says the Horde is strong, she's like,
the Horde is nothing.
That's when you know you fucked up. So he manages to split the sword into two, and, you know, she kills him with magic from the maw, because of course he's collaborating with the jailer at this point. Varrock Saurfang dies, but he still manages to split the sword. So currently Anduin, he wields Shalamayne as he is chasing Xal'atath together with Valyria, Windrunner, in the War Within. So that's the state of the situation right now. Let's get on to the next point and look at the weapon, look at the length, just make a proper review of the weapon now that we know about the lore. So this is the Shalamayne. A fantastic sword with a length, a total length from the very tip to the end of the handle here of 112 centimeters. 112 centimeters. The width at its widest point, we're looking at 25 centimeters. And the handle in itself, being round, is actually very, very broad. It's 4.5 centimeters. No, that's 38 millimeters at the thinnest part, and 5 centimeters, 50 millimeters at its widest. The weight of this is 4 kilos, 4,000 grams, and it's quite accurate. It comes with one of these, let me cover my face, small plastic holders that actually do a really good job at holding this together, because it's two blades and they're connected magnetically here in the handle. A very wieldy sword. I will get to the disadvantages and the very awkward ways this one handles a bit later. But if you look at it straight ahead, then you will see the fantastic runes. The runes carved in the entire length of the blade on both Shalator and Shalamayne. You have these beautiful gems over here. Oh yeah, maybe I need to mention this. This is not the original, or this is not a very, very expensive blade, but it is expensive. It's maybe around, you could get it for around 300 euros, I think, in Europe. And you have these gems here. These are matching. And these 3 yellow ones are actually quite cool here, and it's the same on the other side. Then you get the guard on one side, and a continuation of the blade on this side. Needs mentioning, everything is metal. Everything is metal, even this one, this part here, it's cold to the touch. And actually, let me just show you how metal this is. Very metally. Okay, this is apparently not metal. This one neither. Exciting, then it must be aluminium because it's not magnetic, but it's still some sort of a metal. Let me just split it and show it to you on the inside. So when you split it, you can just do this. See, I'm more powerful than Anduin Wrynn. Ha! Anduin, see what you couldn't do at the beginning? Just did it. So when you have it split, you of course have the 2 nice halves here, looking good, right? The disadvantage with that is that you have 2 halves that, you know, are flat, and they have magnets built in. Let me just see, 1, and a reflection here, 2. So you got 1, 2, 3 magnets on this side, and there's some screws. There are some screws over here uniting the blade with the handle, and on this side too there are some holes so that everything fits in beautifully together, creating this seamless connection here. So you don't see that much here, and let me just mask myself here. So you don't see any seam. It's actually quite awesome. Well, you see the seam, but you don't feel it. So all in all, a fantastic blade. Now to the disadvantages. This is the least wieldy weapon that I have from World of Warcraft. The least comfortable to hold and to, you know, like play around with it because of one thing. Because of this here. So whenever I try to hold this, right, I try and handle it, and look at this. It digs straight into my hand right here. Straight into my knuckle, in my fist, or whatever you want to call it. And this part here is not, I mean, this one doesn't necessarily stand in the way. Yeah, it doesn't stand that much in the way. But if you don't pay attention, then this little part here is going to be in the way, and, you know, carving into your carving into your hand. So that's kind of the most annoying part of this weapon. Otherwise, I think it's amazing. It's beautiful. In an ideal world, this would have the light shining in through here. See, I fixed it. So this would have the light shining in through there, but you know, we don't live in a magical world, and there's corruption as well, so there's no light shining in the middle of Shalamayne in our real world. Okay, should you buy this? This is a beautiful sword. It weighs in at 4 kilos. It makes a fantastic display piece for your collection, but I would not place this as my priority number 1 in buying. Unless you're a big Anduin Wrynn fan, or Manduin Wrynn fan, I think there are other options that would, you know, the lore is there and the shape is there, but I just think it's too expensive to justify having this sword instead of some of the other, which are a bit more rich or meaningful. In my perspective, you can of course have your own opinion and absolutely love this weapon. Don't get me wrong, it feels good, it's solid, it feels like it's one full piece of metal, and it's light enough so you can play around with it without, you know, running completely out of breath. So I would be able to wield this for a longer time than I would, for example, the the Ashbringer. I mean, this is a complete monster compared to the compared to the Shalamayne. And this is not a priest weapon, although Anduin Wrynn is a priest. He's not a paladin, he's not a warrior, he's a priest. He goes around casting mass resurrection on a battlefield and tries to diplomatically solve issues. He's not a warrior, he's a priest. He should have a staff. Let me know in the comments below, do you think Anduin Wrynn should wield a staff instead of the Shalamayne and give a more, warrior-y character the honor to do this? Although this is infused with light and it has a history of, light in it. And Varian Wrynn also makes like a really, he's a warrior, but also the light aids him. At some point, Anduin Wrynn loses his light and then he gets it back again in the War Within, but it's his own opinion of whether he is worthy of the light or not. I am not sure. I stopped in the campaign right now where he's trying to get back the light. The Arathi lady without an arm, she's helping him to get there, but that's where I am right now. Good. I really hope you enjoyed this, and this has been a long video, but I do hope you enjoyed this. If you have anything on your mind, I would really appreciate your inputs. I hope I'm building some value for you out there with these videos, and keep an eye open if you like this. Like the video and throw a subscribe, because there are several weapons or several reviews coming in for those weapons over there. With that said, thank you for watching this review, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.